Hello. I've just gotten out of the theater, watching the Super Mario Brothers movie. I turned my computer on about 5 minutes ago, and I wanted to, well, I wanted to talk about it a bit, talk about my thoughts on it because I thought they'd be interesting. um, you're looking at a black screen because I have no footage to show because I don't want to die. So maybe I'll edit in something if I feel nice. Just your friendly warning because I've seen it. This is going to be filled with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, and you care, uh, don't watch, don't listen. Sounds good. So for context, I think I saw like the first couple, maybe first three trailers. Um, so I already knew a decent chunk of what I was getting into, and I was definitely on the boat of thinking that, Illumination's made like a couple good movies in their entire lifetime, and most of what they've made is hot trash. So I was expecting this to be awful before they showed the first trailers, and I got progressively more excited until this point where I was, excited to unreasonable amounts. And it's hard to say whether or not it lived up. It was very, very good, in my opinion. As someone who adores the franchise and knew how to pick out every little thing that it did, I think as a standalone movie, it's very much a kids movie that doesn't have much else in front of it, which I guess makes sense. Um, so first of all, because everyone already knows this, it's visually stunning. It's easily the best looking thing that they've made. It's beautiful in so many ways. I am a sucker for colorful, beautiful lighting, and it does that in so many places so well. And places portrayed like the Mushroom Kingdom, all those toads running around, all the bright colors everywhere look really nice. I really like the way that they did. I'm going to call it New York because it didn't look very much like New Donk City, but I think it's hard to tell whether or not it's meant to be New Donk City or not. I think it is just meant to be New York, um, which makes perfect sense to me. I'm totally okay with that. Um, but yeah, the locations they go to look great, um, and all that. I really like how it looks, and I think pretty much all of the character designs were really good. Um, the redesigned characters, because Peach, Luigi, Mario, Bowser especially, do not look very similar to how they do in the games, but a lot of the enemies are extremely faithful. Koopa's got a solid redesign, but the Bitty Bugs and I'm trying to think of the others. Specifically the Bitty Bugs, the eel that shows up right after they fall off Rainbow Road. Like that eel looks straight out of Mario Odyssey. The Bitty Bugs look straight out of 3D World. It's kind of weird the balance between what got redesigned and what didn't. But it all works together. They did a good job of redesigning the characters. I thought the toads were really creepy when I first saw them, but I've gotten used to them by now, and I don't think that they're that bad. When they're in motion, they look pretty good. So I guess that brings me to the characters. Um, Mario, or Chris Pratt as Mario, was not awful. He did a good job at the very beginning when he does that very over exaggerated Italian accent. Um, I got a bit of a shock thinking that that was going to be his voice for the whole thing because I didn't realize that they were doing silly accents. But when it cut back to his normal voice, it just kind of worked, surprisingly. Um, I was really surprised. And then all the other voice cast, I think no one had any doubt in. Charlie Day as Luigi sounded really good. I really liked the way that the way that he delivered things. He made a good Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach did a good job portraying not the platformer games Peach, but as like that kind the kind of more independent Peach that you see in certain Paper Marios, I think. I haven't played much to see that personality, but I really liked the way Peach was done. Bowser was probably the best character in the movie. Shocker. And all the supporting cast around them I'll call those the main characters, and all the supporting cast around them were fun. I didn't really have a character that I hated, which I often end up finding in media. I end up hating certain characters. Not here. There wasn't anyone who was obnoxiously annoying. There wasn't like the main cast weren't annoying. You wanted Mario to win. Which, considering he's Chris Pratt, was maybe a little surprising. Now, when it comes to the story, the first thing that I thought at the end was, it's a little obvious that Miyamoto had his grubby little hands on it, because it's very light on plot. Because I watched the trailers that I did, pretty much the entire story was laid out for me. And I don't know whether or not that's normal for movies, where you kind of know everything that's going to happen if you watch the trailers. Like, things happened in between, but pretty much every major plot point was shown off in a trailer, which is strange as someone who watched the trailers, but I don't think that's a problem if you didn't. It makes sense the way that it all flows together. It's just like, it's very it's predictable because the movie tells you kind of what's gonna happen. There aren't that many like big twists or anything. It's very much it's a very linear story. It very much feels, I guess, like a Mario story. It feels like a Mario story in which there isn't much of one, which I guess kind of makes sense. But I was hoping that there would be a little more to it. I was hoping that there would be something in between. You all know that I'm a Mario Galaxy nut, and when they say that, there's so many galaxies out there, and like, the universe is so big and full of all these galaxies, hundreds of whatever the exact quote was, I thought that there would be something along those lines where like they'd go between all these different, where I was expecting there to be more like, I guess, like more references as to like going to like different locations. They really do go to the location they say they're going to and go back. And I guess I was thinking that there'd be some kind of diversion along the way in the story. The very, very end was a nice surprise when I thought it was over, and it does keep going. It has that final scene that takes place in Brooklyn. It's a really nice fight scene. I really like the way that they did it, and that was a nice surprise at the end to really it gives it a nice ending. And other than that, very, very light on plot. Which I guess makes sense. It's very much a kid's movie. I was probably expecting more out of that than I should have been, but I do think it's valid to say that, yeah, it was very unsurprising the way that things played out. I wish that they spent more time in the different areas that they showed, because there was that scene in the trailer where they walk through, Bomb on Battlefield, Tostarana, Yoshi's Island, and that scene is exactly the same in the movie. They don't really visit those locations, they just pass through them. And I wish there was a little more of that. I wish there was a little more time spent in different places. I wish the journey, there was more of the journey from point A to point B. Just because I think that would have been interesting to have more time in like these areas that were recognizable with different characters. The movie would have been too long to do that, but I wish they would have, made time to, like, the fish bridge scene that was in a trailer. That's a good scene. I like that. It's a nice Mario 1 reference. We'll talk about the references later. Mario 1 reference, also many other 2D Marios, to be fair. I thought there would be, that kind of implied to me that there would be more of that journey, more of that walk, like getting to wherever they were going. I don't think we ever knew that they were going to the quote unquote Jungle Kingdom, Donkey Kong Country, to get Cranky Kong's army. I love that it was Cranky Kong. I think we knew that he was going to be there, but I love Cranky Kong's snark. I just finished Donkey Kong Country and learned how snarky he is. So it was kind of funny timing to see that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have there. The writing throughout was very good, I think. The most of the jokes landed. I don't think there were any that I like thought were like horrible. There were definitely some that were a little cheesy. I think somebody says at some point that that's something that you'd see in a movie theater, you know, but tis. I liked Mario and Luigi's relationship. I like it when, you know, they're very close to each other. I really enjoy their dynamic throughout it. I like Peach and Mario, the way that they talk to each other. You know, sometimes you get the vibe that Peach like kind of hates Mario in like the games. You don't get that here. Like they, you know, like Peach genuinely seems to care about Mario by the end of it. You get this kind of thing where it's like Peach is clearly like nice, but he's also very snarky. I really like Peach. I was not expecting to like Peach as much as I did. And I like the relationship that she has with Mario, because they don't really lean into too much into like the love story between them. Peach very much just seems to be like not interested in that, which I relate to, so I like it. Bowser, of course, Bowser's Jack Black was expected to be funny, but he wasn't really shown funny in the trailers. So they delivered very well on that. They did a really, really good job of making him just so funny to listen to. And most of the scenes that he was in, like he was portrayed as being kind of pathetic at times. And we're like, yeah, he's really big and powerful, but he's kind of a dumbass, which is awesome. I love that kind of portrayal of Bowser. That is my favorite kind of portrayal of Bowser. You know, the big tough guy who is stupid and really just doesn't want to be lonely. I loved the way that he was written. I love Kamek was funny the whole time. And Bowser's minions were pretty disposable overall. There was good visual comedy with them. I'm trying to think if there were any really other major characters. Donkey Kong and Mario hating each other makes sense. They do hate each other. You know, there's been an entire game series about that. But them kind of like swapping back and forth between working together and hating each other is a little jarring. It's definitely like, you know, like I want to smash your face in. Oh wait, now we can get out of here. Okay, we'll be friends now. They very rapidly swap back and forth between hating each other and not hating each other. It almost kind of feels like they wanted to have more, like, you know, like emotional drama, but they stayed away from it. I think that kind of thing is very cliche, where it's movies will have that kind of thing where like, oh, you know, like the friends break apart and then come back together. They do that in very small amounts, just enough to meet the quota that it has to be there, and then stop doing it. So they did a good job of not making it feel super cliche and super like, oh, saw that coming. It has its little moments of it, but they do a good job of, you know, keeping it from being overbearing and annoying. Cranky Kong, I already said, was freaking hilarious. And Luma Lee, locked up in the cages, was an experience, that's for sure. It took me a while to realize that the reason why Luma Lee wants to die so much is because Luma Lee is Luma, and Luma's sole purpose in life is to die. That is the whole plot. they are born to die and be reborn. And so Lumily is totally chill with the idea of being sacrificed because Lumily's purpose in life is to die. That is the point of Lumas. And then I kind of understand why they did it. And it kind of makes the whole thing more funny, knowing that, like, Lumily is chill with death because that's the way that their life is. That's the way that Lumas as a species are. As a galaxy fan, that was basically the only galaxy in the movie. It was weird. It was really weird having Lumily there because it's kind of like, what are you doing here? What reason do you have to be here? I like the beginning with kind of like Mario and Luigi as plumbers. I really, really like that it's kind of the new Super Mario Bros. Super Show. You know, we're the Mario Brothers. Plumbing's our game thing. I really enjoyed that that's what they did. Because that's a part of Mario history that they don't seem to want to acknowledge. And I love that they brought that back. They dug that up from the vault because it fits perfectly. It makes perfect sense to, like, revive the concept of, yes, they are, like, they were plumbers. I like the way that they get them into the Mushroom Kingdom. They did a good job of doing it. It's a little long and drawn out. But I guess it gives them, like, a nice backstory. And I like that Peach's backstory is kind of almost left as a mystery. Because it is kind of strange. It is kind of strange. I never really have thought about the fact that, yeah, there are only 3 humans in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario, Luigi, and Peach. Or at least that's what they're supposed to be. You know, there is, like, Daisy exists. Rosalina exists. But Rosalina's kind of been explained. There aren't many. And it is kind of strange that Peach is brought up just like, oh, yeah, I don't know where I came from. And then it's never touched on again. It's like, oh, here's a little piece of lore. We're not going to do anything with it, but you can have it. By the way, this movie is definitely canon. So when I inevitably make a Super Mario timeline, when I get really bored, it's going to be really hard to decide whether or not the Super Mario Bros. Super Show or this gets to be the canon origin story. It's going to be really hard for me to decide. But yeah, I like the story. I just think that I wish there was more to it. I wish there were a couple more points, different places they went. As like a Super Mario movie, I wish that there was kind of more of that, like, almost like like going through the 8 worlds to get to Bowser. Instead, they kind of just went from, like, World 1 to World 5 to World 8, with a little bit of Mario Kart along the way, of course. I wish there was a little more that happened in between. But I get why it is the way that it is. But what everyone went to watch the movie for, or at least I think so, is all of the references. We're all massive Mario nuts. We're all Nintendo. I don't know. I definitely wanted to see what it would be like, but I was most compelled to see how many goddamn references I can spot. Dear God, there were a lot, but a lot of them I kind of already knew about from the trailers. The start of the movie is super reference heavy. The New York being almost full entirely of NES game references was super cool. As soon as I noticed, oh, it's Punch-Out. It's all Punch-Out everywhere. And then it's called the Punch-Out Cafe. That was cool. And then they keep going from there. He's playing an arcade cabinet called Jumpman. The guy, whatever character Chris Pratt, or sorry, not Chris Pratt, Jesus Christ, Charles Martinet plays. He's playing, there's another arcade cabinet in the background, and I couldn't tell what it was. It probably is something. And then you go up from there. There was something that was Mario Sunshine. There was a couple Game & Watch characters. Later on, there was a balloon fight. I think there was a sign for the bear from Ice Climber. I can't remember all of them, but there were so many NES games. Mario's room. First off, he's literally just playing Kid Icarus on the NES. I believe there's an R-wing on top of his CRT, and then in the background is all of like the black box sports games. I think there was Kung Fu back there. It was neat to see all the NES game references. Right, there was a bunch of Duck Hunt. There was so much Duck Hunt. Seeing all of this NES game stuff was cool. Referencing a lot of Nintendo's past. The movie is very light on like that classic era Mario. The references start at like New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. That's where they heavily start. They do reference other things. They definitely reference other things, but you would get pretty much everything had you played only the modern stuff. There's very little that is just like the past. So having that NES section is really cool. And then, you know, in the actual Mushroom Kingdom, a lot of it was original. I love seeing Crazy Cap. I still have the soft spot for Odyssey, so I loved seeing Crazy Cap there. And just all, you know, they did a really good job of implementing Mario elements. That was one thing. I really liked how well there were actual platforming sequences in the movie. I wasn't expecting that, but there were actually like a decent number of times where like Mario is actually running through some kind of thing that is very obviously like an obstacle course, like a 2D or a Super Mario 3D World level, and it was really cool to see how well they pulled that off. I wasn't expecting that. Trying to think, I already mentioned that part where they travel through all the different areas, where they travel through, they go across like the fish bridge, that one, it's subtly Bum Battlefield, but it's clearly Bum Battlefield, very obviously Tostarena. The Yoshi's Island, that is a intro to the Melee intro reference. I noticed that immediately. I love that. And then when they're frickin' standing on top of the mountains, I'm pretty damn sure that's World 6 from New Super Mario Bros. U. It's one of the mountain worlds from one of the New Super Mario Bros. Games, one of the console ones, and I'm pretty sure it's New Super Mario Bros. U. Why did they pull from there? I'm the only person in the world who's gonna be like, thank you for that. But thank you for that, because it was super cool. The enemies. God, the enemies that they brought back. The frickin' bats that fly out at Luigi. I swear, I recognize them. I think they're in Galaxy, but I think they're in other games. I was like, oh my god, really? You got the bats right? The references were very loving. And they weren't shoehorned in. That was the one... I didn't want it to be like, oh my god... Now we're in, like, it's weird because I wanted them to go to more places, but I didn't want the places to just be like reference bait, just nostalgia bait. And like so much of the movie would just be, if you don't get the reference, you don't enjoy it. They did a good job of making it that, like, you know, dry, like dry bones. You don't have to understand what a dry bones is to like that scene. It's still a good scene with Luigi. You don't have to understand that it's a Luigi's Mansion reference. Him walking around with the flashlight. Some of those, like him shouting Mario, was really, really well done. I swear some of the animations looked really familiar from playing the Luigi's Mansion games. And you don't have to know how dry bones work to get what that scene is supposed to be. And I think that's really important. It's a movie that you can watch without knowing what Mario is. And, like, you'll at least get it. You'll miss a lot of it. And I think if you watch it without knowing what Mario is, a lot of the enjoyment is... or a decent chunk of the enjoyment is lost. But I'm sure you could get other enjoyment out of it. But a lot of the enjoyment that I got was from pointing out the references to myself. Pauline was on a TV screen at one point. I don't think she was ever named. I like that she is still a mayor. She's just evolved from New Donk City to a real city. Well done. The Donkey Kong area was really nice. I don't know how much it referenced things. The actual Donkey Kong fight scene was awesome. I think there were so many of his smash moves used. There are so many times where I was like, I recognize those moves. That's his Smash move set. And that was really clever. The power-ups, they used those really well to contextualize them being like humans being able to do these wild things by having the power-ups. That makes total sense. I do I really like Ice Wedding Peach being a thing that we have now. Because it reminded me of Frozen, because I am chronically Disney. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what else. There was so much. There was so many. But the middle of the movie was rather light on them. There's a lot at the start to hook you in, and they settle down over time. The Mario Kart segment was obviously one very long, very long reference, but they did a good job of not having that super shoehorned in. Like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I know a shortcut. I don't know if the Rainbow Road counts as a shortcut, but sure. I was really expecting something different out of the Rainbow Road scene. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting what we got. And it's a little long and drawn out for my liking. My favorite part of it is definitely where it's like, you can't stop me, and then he shouts blue shell, and he comes flying at them. I like that the blue shell is the way that everything goes wrong. That's a really clever way to go to implement that kind of Mario Kart thing, because that is so incredibly how every game of Mario Kart goes. Everyone knows that feeling if they played Mario Kart. It's a very iconic part of it, and they did a good job of that. The music references, I was expecting more of. When they, at some point, I believe it was the head of Illumination or someone, said that, the movie was just going into, like, they were just going to start working on the music for it, and there'll be a lot of familiar Mario tunes. And I think I got my expectations a little too high for that, but there was a lot of Mario tunes. I really like that they had the Captain Toad theme from Treasure Tracker, the full Captain Toad theme, or maybe not the full Captain Toad theme, but the good version that isn't super grating to listen to. I like that they picked that. The Peach's Castle theme from Mario 64 played like 5 or 6 times, I swear to God. A lot of different renditions of like 1-1 and 1-2 when they go into the sewers and they've got like the do 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 music playing, and there's like level 1-2. I was like, I really like that. I really like the way that they did that. It's subtle, but it's definitely the most obvious, like, hey, recognize this place that they did. And I really like the way that all went together. And I believe, I'm trying to think of all the music that I heard. There was definitely a couple of like your overworld and athletic themes. I definitely remember the Super Mario World athletic theme being in there somewhere. Mario 3, but I don't remember all of them. I think a little tidbit of Bomb on Battlefield plays at some point. Right. I almost forgot that it starts with Galaxy music. It starts with I believe Attack of the Airships from Mario Galaxy. That warmed my heart to go, oh my God, I know that song. I know that song off by heart. I swear it's one of the songs from Galaxy as Bowser is coming in on his big thing. That ruled. I really like that. Now that I'm thinking about the start of the movie, the Illumination always does this thing where they animate, no matter what movie it is, there's like a little gag with a minion at the start over the Illumination logo. And this one made me chuckle. Where it's like the thing where like the Illumination logo lights up and the minion starts accelerating on 1, which you don't do in order to get the boost. So like his cart spins out, he slams the top of it and then goes flying off as he screams the name of the company. I freaking it was clever. It was clever. It was well done, and they timed it properly. They actually nailed the joke in the context of like that is how that works. And I really like that. It's very obvious that they cared. They cared about things being accurate for the sake of being accurate. If they got that joke a little bit wrong, would I have cared? Probably not. But they did it right. This movie had a lot of love put into it. Back to the music, which is supposed to be what I'm talking about. What else did they play? The Bowser's Fury theme, basically untouched, was awesome. I really wanted to hear Bowser's Fury music. And the one that they used, it was unexpected and it fit really well. The fact that there's actually like a band playing it, a band of like, I guess they're just Koopas. It was that was fun. There was a lot of like a little bit where like you'd hear like a melody, and I'm not sure. There's probably more that I didn't recognize, but I do wish that there was more, solely because I am a massive, massive fan of music references, and there are so many Mario songs that I would have loved to have heard, and so many songs that I would have, adored seeing. What I wasn't expecting out of the music at all was the pop songs. As far as I know, those were never shown in a trailer, and they definitely weren't shown in one that I saw. And I was just really surprised that that's what they did. That, but most of them I enjoyed. I really liked Holding Out for a Hero being there. Take on Me was strange, but, it kind of worked. I freaking love Thunderstruck. So that warmed my heart so much. I referenced that song earlier in the day. It was Fate. Really, it didn't need to be there, but it was, and that was cool. They played a Mario Kart song, and thinking about it now, I don't know what game it was from. I cannot remember whether or not it was Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart Wii. It was one of them. Yeah, my head's thinking of the Mario Kart Wii menu theme, but I don't think it was. I think it was the Mario Kart 8 menu theme. Still, that's a nice nod. They did well referencing Mario Kart. And then the last one, there's one more song at the front. There was a song before Holding Out for a Hero that I can't remember right now, and I feel bad because I want to. I cannot remember what it was. I don't even remember when it played. But I know there was one beforehand. I should look it up. Is the Mario movie soundtrack? Mario movie soundtrack. There's a Spotify playlist already. I have no idea if this is accurate. It might be. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I don't think this is accurate. Some of them are, but I have no idea. I mean, maybe it is. Songs and music from and inspired by. Oh, okay. Huh. Alright, then. Well, I guess I won't know. Mr. Blue Sky at the end. I think it was... Yeah. Yeah, it was Mr. Blue Sky. That's a great song. And it fit as the ending. I did like it. And I specifically sat through the credits because I was like, they're gonna play the song. Because there was a decent amount of songs that didn't play in there. And the last one was Gusty Garden Galaxy, which I knew they were gonna play eventually. I knew they couldn't resist. And they waited right until the damn end. There were so many times where I thought, like, it could break out into it. and it never did. But that means that they wrote music for it. They made original music. Or, they put in AC/DC's Thunderstruck because they knew it would make me happy. Both is good. It's hard to complain that there weren't more references in music because they made original music and the original music was good. But it's like as a fan, there were songs that like I wanted to see, but we got a lot of like original stuff, and really they would have been shoehorning in music probably. I've just found the article, all Nintendo songs that made it into the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So let's see. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about this. I was thinking about this just before I started. The DK rap was amazing. I was laughing my ass off when I heard the DK rap. It was so good. As his reveal. And the way that Diddy Dixie and Chunky were in the crowd. I loved that. They didn't need to be there, but they went through the effort of putting him there, and I like that. What else is on in here? Yeah, Fury Bowser, we know that. Oh, that's it. Okay. Apparently that's it. Yeah, there were a couple more. I think my favorite remix in the whole thing was the very, very end. The super invincibility star, whatever it's called. I think it's just called the superstar in the movie. It's a really good remix of it. It's a great remix of that. It really, really fits that ending scene. And I knew the whole thing, everyone was asking for a Jack Black musical scene. We wanted a Tenacious D song, and they do that a little bit. I think I wanted something more elaborate, but it was funny, and they do bring it up right at the end. It's kind of like a quote-unquote post-credits scene. It was funny. It was good. I wish that they did more with that. But I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that. They did make our wishes come true. They knew that's what people would want, and they did a little bit of it. That kind of love ballad. I feel like that's pretty much everything I have to say. It's visually beautiful. It sounds great. I think it's really well written. And I just wish that there was a bit more to it. I wish that they went more places, more things happened. And I feel like it's just like going into it, I didn't realize that I knew what was going to happen already because I had watched the trailers and I had rode the hype train. You can call that my fault. I can't disagree with you. But I wish that there was just a little more to it. But it is a good movie. I think they took Mario and they made it something. They made a movie out of it that was actually funny, and there was actually something to it. You could watch it more than once and probably still get enjoyment out of it. And I feel like it also kind of leaves the door open to making another one. I believe, Seth Rogen said, I want a Donkey Kong movie. Charlie Day said, I want a Luigi's Mansion movie. If they're going to do anything, they're going to do another Mario movie. And I think they purposefully end it in a way that's kind of like, ooh, wonder what's next. Whether or not we'll ever get one, whether or not we want another one, is to be seen. But I think they did a good job. I don't think it's going to be, better than anyone could have possibly imagined. I think it's going to blow people away. I think people are going to come out of it and go, that was the fun movie I was expecting. That matched There were people who will be disappointed by it, by being just expecting the world from it. This was very much, this is all that it needed to be. Mario, as the relatively simple game series that it is, it makes sense that a relatively simple movie is what comes of this. I think they did a good job. I hope that it does well, because I think it deserves to do well. It was made for kids. I think that's pretty obvious. And I think it does extremely well for that, and it is easily watchable by someone who cares a little more. I just really, really wanted to see Rosalina on the big screen, and I promise that's not just because I'm down bad for her. Why is this how I decided to end this video? Listen, I couldn't come up with another joke. It's been 40 goddamn minutes. I have a little bit of a headache. Cut me some slack.